Imagine a man named Tom, hunched over his desk at 2 a.m., the glow of his laptop screen casting shadows on his tired face. He's been working 80-hour weeks for years, pouring his soul into his job, believing that his sweat and sacrifice will one day pay off. But when the annual raises come around, Tom gets a measly 2% bump, barely enough to cover inflation, while his colleague, who coasts through life with charm and connections, lands a promotion and a fat bonus. Why does this happen? Why do the hardest workers, the ones who give everything, often earn the least? And what if the answer lies not in the work itself, but in a lie we've all been fed? A lie about morality, labor, and what we truly deserve. You probably felt this sting yourself. Maybe you stayed late at the office, skipped family dinners, or pushed your body to the brink, all because you believe that hard work is the golden ticket to success. But the numbers don't lie. Studies show that the bottom 20% of earners in the U.S. often work the longest hours. Think janitors, caregivers, farm workers, while the top 1% work less and earn exponentially more. This isn't just economics. It's a philosophical betrayal, one that Friedrich Nietzsche saw coming over a century ago. In the next part, we'll dig into Nietzsche's concept of the lie of moral labor and why it keeps the hardest workers trapped in a cycle of struggle. Nietzsche, the German philosopher who shook the foundations of morality, had a term for this, the slave morality. He argued that society, especially through religion and culture, teaches us to equate hard work with virtue, to believe that suffering and toil make us good and deserving of reward. But Nietzsche saw through this facade. In his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he warned that this morality was a tool of the weak to control the strong, a way to keep the masses obedient while the elite reap the benefits. The lie of moral labor tells us that if we work hard, if we suffer nobly, we'll be rewarded, maybe not in this life, but in some cosmic sense of justice. But what if that reward never comes? What if the game is rigged from the start? Think about your own life. Have you ever felt that pang of resentment when someone less dedicated than you got ahead? Maybe it was a co-worker who schmoozed their way into a corner office, or a friend who landed a cushy gig through a family connection. The lie of moral labor whispers that this isn't fair, that your hard work should have been enough. But Nietzsche would tell you to stop waiting for fairness. He'd say that the world doesn't owe you anything for your toil. It's not a moral marketplace. The hardest workers often earn the least because they're playing by rules that were never designed to let them win. In the next section, we'll explore the psychological roots of this trap and how it keeps you stuck. Let's get psychological for a moment. Why do we cling to this belief that hard work equals reward, even when the evidence slaps us in the face? Part it comes down to what psychologists call the just world hypothesis, the idea that the world is inherently fair, that good things happen to good people, and bad things happen to bad ones. We want to believe that our sacrifices will be noticed, that someone, somewhere, is keeping score. But the world isn't a courtroom, and there's no cosmic judge tallying up your hours. The just world hypothesis is a comforting delusion, but it's also a cage. It keeps you grinding away, hoping for a payout that might never come, while others, who know how to play the game, leapfrog over you. Then there's the societal layer. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle. Social media is flooded with quotes like rise and grind, and sleep is for the weak. We're taught to admire the worker who never stops, the one who sacrifices everything for the job. But who benefits from this narrative? Not you, it's the system. Corporations, bosses, and those at the top thrive when you buy into the lie of moral labor, because it keeps you working harder for less. The hardest workers often earn the least because they're too busy toiling to notice the game being played around them. They don't see that success isn't about how much you work. It's about how much power you wield, how much value you claim, and how well you navigate the unspoken rules. So what's the way out? In the next part, we'll look at Nietzsche's solution, the will to power, and how you can use it to break free from this cycle of unearned struggle. Nietzsche didn't just diagnose the problem. He offered a way forward, the will to power. This isn't about dominating others or becoming a tyrant. It's about mastering yourself, asserting your own value, and refusing to let the world define your worth. The will to power is your inner fire, your drive to create, to overcome, to shape your life on your terms. For Nietzsche, the hardest workers are often the least rewarded because they lack the sense of self-assertion. They give their power away to the system, to the lie of moral labor, instead of claiming it for themselves. Let's make this practical. If you're one of those hard workers who's always coming up short, ask yourself, are you working hard on the right things? Or are you just spinning your wheels, hoping someone will notice? The janitor who works 12-hour shifts might be the hardest worker in the building, but he'll never earn more until he learns to negotiate, to advocate for himself, to seek out opportunities that value his skills. The caregiver who pours her heart into her patients might deserve $1 million, but she'll stay underpaid until she stops waiting for the world to reward her goodness and starts demanding her worth. Here's where you can start. First, stop equating your value with your suffering. Nietzsche would tell you that your worth isn't measured by how much you sacrifice. It's measured by how much you create, how much you assert your own vision. If you're working yourself to the bone, pause and ask, is this job, this role, this path even aligned with my true desires? Or am I just following the script society handed me? Second, learn the rules of the game. The hardest workers often earn the least because they don't know how to play the system. Watch the people who are getting ahead. What are they doing differently? Maybe they're networking, maybe they're branding themselves, maybe they're saying no to tasks that don't serve their goals. You don't have to become someone you're not, but you do have to stop playing by rules that keep you small. Third, channel your will to power by setting boundaries and claiming your space. If you're always saying yes to extra work, start saying no. If you're underpaid, have the courage to ask for a raise or walk away. If you're stuck in a dead-end job, take a risk and pivot to something that lights you up. The hardest workers often earn the least because they're too afraid to disrupt the status quo. But Nietzsche would urge you to embrace that fear, to see it as a sign that you're finally living on your own terms. In the final part, we'll paint a picture of what your life could look like if you break free from the lie of moral labor, and how you can start today. Imagine waking up in a world where your worth isn't tied to how much you suffer. You're no longer the overworked, underpaid worker, slaving away for a system that doesn't care. Instead, you're someone who knows their value, who works smart instead of just hard, who create a life that reflects their deepest desires. You've tapped into your will to power, and the world is starting to bend to your vision. Maybe you've negotiated a raise, or maybe you've left that soul-crushing job to start your own business. Maybe you're finally pursuing that passion project you've been too scared to touch. Whatever it looks like, you're no longer waiting for permission to thrive. You're giving it to yourself. This transformation isn't easy. Breaking free from the lie of moral labor means unlearning decades of conditioning. It means facing the fear that if you stop working yourself to death, you'll lose everything. But here's the truth. The only thing you'll lose is the weight of a system that never deserved your loyalty in the first place. Nietzsche's will to power isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. It's about trading the endless grind for a life of meaning, impact, and yes, even abundance. So, what's stopping you? Are you ready to stop playing the victim of a rigged game? Are you ready to claim your power, to work smarter, to demand what you're worth? The hardest workers often earn the least because they bought into a lie. But you don't have to. You can rewrite the story. You can choose to live differently, starting right now. Take a moment to reflect. Write in the comments, I choose power. I choose to break free. Then take one step today. Whether it's having a hard conversation, setting a boundary, or dreaming bigger than you ever have before. If this journey resonates with you, subscribe for more insights on living boldly and unapologetically. Let's keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible together